like, well, let's see what you got, girl, because yeah, it was intense at our house last night. And what I realized is we had set up, for those of you who don't know, we adopted a little girl out of foster care last year. She is almost 4 in a couple of weeks. And we had set up a really fun night for her sleeping in the tent with her sisters, which she was really excited about, but it was something brand new. And I didn't really think about that for her and how, that excitement and that fear works on her brain. We talked last night how kids from trauma and abuse, their brains' chemistry have been changed, and that's a scientific fact. We also know that hope changes them back. So it's not lost, but we're still in this moment of, so this excitement and a little bit of fear threw her over the edge, and we had the most massive meltdown, breakdown, kicking, screaming. I can't even tell you, please don't take me to jail is what she kept saying. I'm not taking you to jail. For hours, 3 hours I think it lasted. Started about 8 apparently while I was still here. At about 1 o'clock, yep. So it was intense, which just reminded me that the kids that we are working with are not our typical kids for lots of reasons. It doesn't make them different or bad or anything else, but we do need to change our thought processes just a little bit when we're working with our kids. The other thing it reminded me is even if you do every one of these things perfectly, it may not have the outcome that you want, and that's okay too. And it also reminded me that you're not going to do every one of these things perfectly because we are not perfect, we are broken. And that's okay too, because guess what? This morning, we had a redo. We got to start over and start our day again fresh and move forward. And that's exactly what we are going to do at camp too. So I don't want anyone to feel discouraged. If you have a little camper who maybe has one of those meltdowns and says some pretty hurtful, awful things to you, it is not you. It's that fight, flight, freeze, or fawn mechanism that they have. Our little one operates out of fight constantly. That is her mechanism, is fight. Some of our kids here may be freeze or fawn, where they just kind of go into themselves. But for most of our kids, that is where they live. And so we need to meet them there and help them regulate. So with that, I'm going to give you all these tools, but no, I don't do it perfectly either, so it's going to be okay. Okay, so with that, I've kind of smushed some Love and Logic and some TBRI techniques together. They really go hand in hand. And then, so we're going to go over this PowerPoint that we did this for Camp Bethel as well. So I'm going to go through it really quickly, and then on your tables there is also a page on how we're going to implement it at camp. Okay, so first of all, the Love and Logic approach. We're going to use Love and Logic to stop arguing, set limits with our kids, avoid power struggles, and we're going to help guide kids to solve their own problems. These are all things that we can do in these 3.5 days that we have with our kids. When you do these things, it gives you freedom to focus on all the other super fun things that we have going on. So this is how we're going to address behaviors. We want to build relationships. This is the most important piece in both TBRI and Love and Logic, is building relationships. We know, just from your own experience, that the closer you feel to a person, the more you want to make them happy, right? Or you don't want to let them down. We don't want to do something that they disapprove of. So that's what we're doing with our kids too. We're building these relationships, loving relationships, we're connecting with them, and when we do that, they don't want to let us down. And so more often than not, they're going to continue to do what we want them to do. When our relationships are damaged, even the best techniques fail. And so we know that loving relationships give consequences power. So that's what we're working on, is building those relationships. And this is how we're going to do that. This first one, make every hello and goodbye a special event, seems so silly, but it is so important. So when you see your kid the first thing in the morning, even the first day, and let's say your little camper's name is Joe, and you're gonna be like, Joe, oh, it's so good to see you. I'm so glad you're here. We're gonna have so much fun today. It's gonna be amazing. Come on in. Maybe a little side hug, a high five, something like that. We're going to be excited to see them. That is why when we were at camp and kids came up on the bus, we had the posters and we yell and scream and we're so excited. We're building that positive relationship. So you're gonna make that hello a special event. If your kiddo, your little camper went off with another little camper to do a craft and you weren't with them and they come back, you're like, oh, Joe, it's so good to see you. Oh my goodness, what did you make? This is amazing. I can't wait to see it. You know, whatever. You make it a big deal. And then the same at the end of the day. You make goodbye a special event. Get down on their level. Joe, I know you're going home. I can't wait to see you in the morning. I hope you have a good night. Can I pray for you before you leave? Just make that a special event. Okay? At least once a day, and we only have these kids for 3.5 days, so you're going to do this a lot. You're going to notice something special about them, okay? And you're going to be like, whoa, cool shoes. I've never seen shoes like that. That's awesome. It doesn't even have to be something that they've done. And actually, we don't even really want it to necessarily to be something that they've done because we don't want them to think we only love them when they're good. And so notice something. Wow, did you wear that shirt yesterday? Oh, that's my favorite shirt. That's so cool. Yeah, whatever. Just notice something special about them. Did you know that your eyes are the coolest color of blue? I've never seen that before. Amazing. Let's make it a big deal. We're not going to use any sarcasm. We talked about that a little bit last night. No sarcasm. We're going to love them even when they're not behaving so lovable. You can say things like, I know you're having a really hard time. You know what, Joe? I love you and you are a great kid. Let's work this through. Okay? Something like that. So we love them even when they're not so lovable. And then we're going to neutralize arguing, which I'm going to give you a technique for that. Okay. So in TBRI, we're going to build trusting relationships through connection. We're going to do that through attunement, nurturing touch, warm eyes, voice quality, and playful engagement. So we're going to go through those really quickly. Attunement, it means your phones, we talked about this a little bit last night, no cell phones. If you need to bring a phone because you have something going on at home, you can leave it in my office and you can come check it when it's a break. Or you can give it to Brandy or myself, and then if something important happens on your phone, we will come discreetly find you and let you know. Those kinds of things. But no phones because our attention is on our campers. So you're giving them undivided attention. You're listening to what they have to say. You're not like having a conversation with another big camper while your little camper is talking and you're like, yeah, whatever. No, you're listening to them. And then you bring back those conversations again. Hey, yesterday when you told me that French fries are your favorite meal, guess what we're having for lunch? You know, those kinds of things. Bring that back up so they know that you are in tune with them, you are paying attention. Be present with them. Quality time with campers without being distracted. So important. So that's the first way we're going to build connection, is through attunement. Next, we're going to use nurturing touch, personal safe touch. Now, if you know your camper well and you know that side hugs are okay, then great. Give your big camper or your little camper a side hug. If this is your first time meeting them, you need to ask permission. Be like, hey, I'm a hugger. Would you mind if I give you a side hug? Is that cool? And if they say no, then no worries. How about a high five? No? Okay. Move on. But nurturing touch is so important, and our kids crave touch. And so we want to show them positive touch, and that is okay. So we're going to allow the child to initiate safe touch. We're going to give side hugs, a hand on the shoulder or on the arm, a high five, those kinds of things. And then we want to make sure that we're holding each other accountable if there is any inappropriate touch, meaning like sitting on laps. We don't do that. We don't do piggyback rides. Those are all inappropriate touch. So if you see that amongst each other or even kids doing it, we're just going to casually shut it down. You don't have to yell across the room, but be like, hey, remember, we're just going to both walk. We're not going to get piggybacks here at camp. Or you can sit next to me, those kinds of things. Some of our kids won't know what it means to have safe touch, and so we're going to give them a safe place to experience that here. Okay? So we've got attunement, we've got nurturing touch, warm eyes. This is harder than it seems, actually, because when you're really angry or frustrated or irritated, your eyes show it first. And so you need to think about that. You're going to give soft, warm eyes, get down on their level. You can look a child in the eye while they're talking and while you're talking to them. You can ask the child to look at you. Now, some kids, that's really, really hard. So you can ask them, give them a little wait time to see if they will look at you. If they don't insist. It's okay. Just make sure you have their attention and they're paying attention. And then you model the desired behavior. So warm eyes, so important. And then your voice quality. So we're going to be aware of the tone and the cadence of our voice. So obviously we're going to use a soft tone. We're not going to raise our voice, especially if we have a little camper who's having a hard time. Even if we're trying to get their attention, a raised voice is just going to escalate them. So using a soft, quiet voice. Your cadence is so important too. If we are maybe at just the very beginning, we're trying to ward off a meltdown, a kind of fun cadence like, hey buddy, let's go skip, or something like that. So you're kind of up and down. That can bring them down. However, if they have already escalated, you just need to use a very monotone, quiet cadence. So it's just same thing, they know what to expect. Okay? Next is playful engagement. This is, I think, one of the best tools in TBRI that you can possibly use. My husband is really, really, really good at this, playful engagement. He is really good. I know, maybe too good, you're right. But he's so good with our little one with this too. So if they are moving into that fight, flight, freeze, or fawn reaction, you're going to do something to engage them in a playful manner. So kind of try to distract them, but playfully. When you must provide a correction, you're going to return to playful engagement as soon as possible. We know that play builds trust and confidence, and honestly, that is what we are doing at RFK all day long, is you're playing with these kids. We're building trust and we're building confidence. So standard playfulness is going to be like being goofy together. I remember the first year Forrest dressed up as a superhero. I remember Jace last year was a superhero quite often. That is just standard playfulness, just engaging in play, getting down at the miniature golf course, you're hitting the ball with them, you're laughing, you're having a good time, you're doing craft together, playing a sport together. That is just standard playfulness. We should be doing that all day long. Calm playfulness, so if you have a kiddo who's starting to get escalated, we're going to maybe not do some active play, but more engaging play. So that's where your crafts are really going to come in. Our sensory station, that's a great place where you can have playful but quiet, calm playfulness. Crazy playfulness is getting out of your comfort zone to be a little crazy and out of your ordinary behavior. This is another great way to connect with kids, just being silly. And then when we get to a point when a kiddo is either saying something that's inappropriate or doing an inappropriate behavior, or maybe not even inappropriate, but something that we want to correct, you can say things in a playful way like, are you asking me or are you telling me? And then they rephrase what they're saying, which seems so simple, but I'm telling you, this works like a charm, even on our 4-year-old. Like, are you asking me or are you telling me? And oftentimes, she'll say exactly what she said, which was kind of mean, but in a nicer voice. And then I'll say, oh, try again with kindness. And then she'll rephrase to ask what she wants with in a more kind way, maybe less demanding, which is great. And then you're like, yeah, awesome, I'd love to do that. So are you asking, are you telling? Or try that again, and then, or would you like a redo? So if we had a scenario last night, like a camper had thrown a rock at a car, and it was a bad deal, and you could say something like, oh, Do you need a redo? Okay, how could we do that differently? So instead of just coming right down on top of them and yelling at them or being frustrated at them, be like, oh, would you like a redo? Man, that was hard. You want to try that again? You want a redo? Really helpful. So that's playful engagement. Okay, so you can skip to the next one. Kind of jumping back to love and logic, we're going to neutralize arguing. This is a really great technique too. It's super easy. So if you have a kid who's just arguing with you and just will not let up, first thing, don't argue back. You're not going to win because now you're just in a giant power struggle and you're both going to leave frustrated. So the first thing you're going to do is go brain dead. You go brain dead because when your brain is dead, you can't say anything. So you just got to think about nothing. So this kid is just arguing and arguing. So you go brain dead and then you calmly repeat a one-liner, which is for me, it's oh, because that's all I can say. Because if my mouth opens, I'm going to say something else. Or my other one that I say all the time when something has gone awry is oh, that's a bummer. That's a bummer. And then you just say that. You don't say anything else. You don't engage them in any kind of arguing or trying to prove your point or anything like that. It's just, oh. The other one that I use sometimes too is, what did I say? So if I've asked a kid to do something, they're arguing with me, I'll just say, what did I say? What did I say? And what did I say? And eventually, they're going to give up. You can outlast a kid, I guarantee it. So we know that kids are arguing because they want to get attention, even if it's negative, so we're going to give them plenty of positive attention. And then they also know that they're persistent enough that you will give in, but we're not going to give in, right? We're smarter than them. Okay, so neutralize arguing. So these are some just one-liners that you can have ready. This is a great one for camp is, I'm having way too much fun to argue with you. And then you just keep saying that. I'm having too much fun to argue. Oh, this is so fun, I'm not going to argue. And just say that I say. I know is a good one. I know. The kid's like, I'm not having any fun. This is miserable. I know. I want to go do this instead. I know. What did I say? Just those kinds of things. Just don't engage. And then obviously how we say it is key. So using that voice quality, pay attention to your cadence, just real calm. Kind of boring. Yeah, okay? The second thing we're going to do is set limits and consequences. So we want to make our yes mean yes and our no mean no. So if you're trying to get a kid to do something, instead of telling them what to do, you're going to set an enforceable statement. So these are things that you will allow to happen. So it would be I will play water games with kids who keep their shoes on. I don't know what it is, but whatever you're having an issue with. I'll play water games with kids who are kind to their friends, something like that. And then if the kid is being mean, be like, oh, it's such a bummer. I know you want to play water games, and I do too, but I play water games with kids who are kind to their friends. And you just follow through with that. Make your yes mean yes and your no mean no. We're going to provide empathy with a consequence. So if you do have to have a consequence, so let's say a kiddo is just misbehaving at a station and you just can't pull it together and you have to leave, you're going to use empathy. So instead of being saying something like, well, you know what? Looks like we're going to have to go because you're just being a turd. Nope, we're not going to say that. We're going to do something like, oh, Joe, this is such a bummer. We can't stay at this station when kids throw rocks. And so we're going to go inside until we can calm down. So you're making the behavior the bad guy, not the kid. Okay? And sometimes it's okay to delay a consequence. If you're in the midst of it and you have no idea what to do, you can say something like, man, we're going to have to do something about this, but I'm not sure. So I'm going to go talk to Ms. Grant. Or whatever it is. That's okay. That's okay. And sometimes it's even worse because the kid's going to be like, not Brandy. Okay, so setting limits and consequences. Next. Oh, these are just more about enforceable statements. We also know that that kids need control of their environment. And when we're having a power struggle, it's because we have not given our kids enough power over their environment. So, to give power, we're going to give a gazillion choices all day long. Okay, so it's going to be like, hey, what station do you want to go to first? Do you want to go to arts and crafts, or do you want to go to water? And then we're done with that. Do you want to go to horses, or do you want to go to Mishkov? You know, like, whatever, all day long. Do you want to sit at the table with Joe, or do you want to sit with Sally? Do you want just constantly choices, 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 choices? That gives the kids a feeling of power over their day. And then when there's a moment when you have to say, when you're like, you know what, we don't have a choice, we have to get on this bus now, your kids are much more likely to listen to you because you have given them power over everything else. Okay? So as many choices as you can possibly give throughout the day. Yep, this is choices. Okay, and then the last thing we want to do is help guide kids to solve their own problems, which is also super empowering. So at camp, this technique is going to be effective for things like tattling, a kid who constantly is misplacing things, and just those kind of constant annoying problems that you run into throughout the day, those things that can just suck your energy. You're going to give that back to the kid. And so you're going to be like, man, I have noticed that you've lost your water bottle 10 times today. What do you think we can do about that? My kid's like, I don't know. Do you want some suggestions? Sure. Well, we can see if Miss Brandy has a clip and we can clip it on your bag. How would that work? Or we could even put it inside of your bag. How would that work? Or I could carry your bag for you. How would that work? And then you're going to let the kid choose. So he's like, let's go talk to Miss Brandy. Okay, let's go try it. The kid may actually come up with another solution that is ridiculous, that's not going to work, but you're still going to go, okay, let's try it. And then when it doesn't work, you're going to go, oh man, that's a bummer, that didn't work. What else could we do? Let's try something else. We're going to teach them to solve their own problems. This is so empowering for that kid who is constantly coming up to you with a problem. And I know you know the kids that are just like, oh, well, now George is being mean to me, and now I can't find my bag, and now my shoes hurt, and they're just constantly. So we're going to hand those problems back to them and help them solve them, which gives them a life skill on how to solve their own problem. And we're empowering them and building their confidence so they can do that. So this is super, super important. Okay? Oh, and then finally, so also in empowering kids, in our kind of what we were talking about before, in our kids that we're going to be dealing with who are constantly being in that fight, flight, freeze, or fawn mode, there are some physiological strategies and some ecological strategies that we can use to help. And so we're going to have lots of hydration. That's why they have a water bottle with them all the time. If you have a kid who's starting to escalate, you're just going to be like, hey, let's get a drink of water. Hey, do you need a snack? Sometimes, so we don't encourage you to bring this, but we will have it on hand if needed, but gum. Gum can be something rhythmic for the kids to chew. It's pressure in their mouth, can help calm them down. So we don't give that to every kiddo, but if there's one who needs it, we'll have it on hand. And then also sensory needs. Sometimes swinging for a kid is just super powerful. Sometimes they need to sit with a weighted blanket, those kinds of things. So if you have a kid and nothing's helping, give them some water, give them a snack, and then come see us and see what else we can do for you. And then ecological factors. So sometimes just a change of location is important. So maybe if a kid isn't comfortable in an area, that you may see some added behaviors. So just going to a new station may be a great idea. And sometimes it's because a kid gets triggered and they don't even know why. Like maybe the horses they just can't handle it. It's triggering for them. They don't know why, we don't know why, it doesn't matter. Just go to a new station. They don't have to stay there. Okay, those kinds of things. So just keep that in the back of your mind too. Okay, so I think that is it. Yeah, so we also want to remember to just keep that connection. So we're going to maintain connection with the child, soft voice, eyes and engagement. We're going to correct the behavior by neutralizing arguing, giving choices, compromising, handing the problem back. And then we're going to end the episode so the child feels content, not discouraged or shamed. And then after the correction, we're just going to return to playful engagement. And we're going to be excited to see them again. And we're just going to start over and start fresh. So on your table was this implementing TBRI at camp. Just some things that you can do. So snacks. We will have snacks. Our kitchen is amazing. They will always have food. So if you have a kiddo who just needs a snack and it's mid-morning, it's not snack time, come see Miss Jo. She will take care of you. Fidgets. So we will have a sensory station this year that if your kiddo needs a fidget, just needs some decompression, that is a great place. They can also come just to have fun. They don't have to just do that. But it's a great place for them to decompress. I was going to say decompose, but we don't know. Also, April Patterson will be our counselor, and she will have some fidget things with her. That'll be a little more one-on-one if we need that. And then we're going to offer redos and compromises. So there's some things going over that. And then this next one is called the camper meter. And I know Keegan used this in her classroom. Do you want to just talk about it?
Sure. So I didn't call it the camper meter, but we called it our engine. And so basically we assign colors to it. So there's blue, red, and purple. So when you're on blue, it's like you're running too cool. Your engine's too slow, it's too cold. And so you might be feeling down, you might be tired, you might be sad, just really apathetic, lethargic. And so there's some things that you can do, like with my students, it's if you're running too low, your thumb is down, you're just feeling low. And so some things you could do is like chair push-ups. So you just like push down on your chair, you pull up on it, get a drink of water, stand up, do some jumping jacks or something to get their blood flowing a little bit to that active engagement. And then if their engine is running too high, they would show me with a thumbs up like this. And so when their engine's too high, they've been overstimulated, they might be feeling angry or just really energetic, just too much going on, they can't focus. So that's when you'll see a lot of hyper behavior or just the outbursts in general. And so some things for that, deep breathing, there's some, like you can do a figure 8, so when you're on the top of the figure 8, you're breathing in. When you're at the bottom, you're breathing out. You can do stretching exercises, so just little things where they're sitting in a chair, they're like rolling their neck out, making circles, like think about if they were balancing a plate on their nose and they had to like move it around like that. You know, you can make it fun, or touch your toes. Okay, now try to lean back and just slow movements. Your quality of voice is really important for that too. Some other things, if they're really hyper or angry, there's a spot in the classroom where they can just go push on the wall or like try to lean into it as much as they can with their back to get that energy out and cool it down a bit. And then if their engine's running just right, they're right here. So they are engaged, they're happy, but they're not overstimulated. And so for them to identify that, I guess.
So I think this is great, and I think that during Breakfast Club, we're going to incorporate this a little bit, and then that way throughout the day, if you are kind of unsure where your kid is at, like, are they getting too escalated, you can ask them, hey, where's your engine? Where's your engine? And they're going to either, do this or this, and it's going to help you then regulate them. So that's just something we'll implement. So just be thinking about that too, about you can ask your kid how their engine is doing. Okay, any questions, thoughts? That was super fast. But I think some good tools on what to do. Okay, so we're just going to finish up this part of training with some going over what camp is going to actually look like, our schedule, and a few rules. Yeah.
All right, Well, handing around to you, that's probably not how you say that, but handing around. Coming your direction is the camp schedule, and they wanted me to go over the schedule because you can ask my wife, Amy, or Cherie. Schedules are my jam. I'm all about staying on time and doing things.
Let's to not make this schedule.
My schedule will be like, show up, we'll have some fun, we'll send you home sometime.
Yeah.
Yes, that's it.
The sarcasm.
Right? So obviously we're starting Wednesday, August 3rd, and we're going to show up at 7:30 because as we found out last year, our time was really compressed in the morning. So we want everybody here at 7:30 so we can get in, we can pray, we can have our devotionals, and just kind of get ready and geared up for the day because lots of kids do start arriving earlier, which is fine. But we're going to get there here at 7:30, make sure we're good to go for the day. And then as you can see, as you roll through, we're going to have registration, then breakfast club, and then activity centers, and then we're going to wash our hands, which is really important. Everybody's favorite time, lunch. But in the afternoon, we're going to go to Mentok Park, which is over in Bethel and Cody, right? Okay. Hey, I got something right. All right. So Mentok Park, which I know last year the kids had a blast, and through the splash pad over there and everything like that. And so then that kind of wraps up everything for the day there, because then we come back to church, get everybody shipped off home, and then again, next day, 7:30, kids arrive. And how do we act when kids arrive? We're excited, right? We're happy that they're here. And even if you're not happy to be up and running this early in the morning during the summertime, you're happy that they're here, right? So kids are arriving, we're hitting Breakfast Club up again, and then we're going to Camp Wannabe in the afternoon, which is a really awesome place. Got that pond there, you get to do some fishing, canoeing, all that stuff. It's a great time, find some water snakes. Who was scared of snakes? Oh, there we go. Your activity. And then return to church. Then we got a skit, and then pack them up, get ready, send them back home. And then so Friday, again 7:30, we're here. We're excited to be here. We're prepped. We're getting a little worn down, but that's okay because it's breaking you in too, right? And we're excited the kids are showing up. Breakfast Club again. And then, Activity Center, we're doing a pizza making center, which is pretty cool. We're going to send that home with them, try to get some family engagement. And, and the horses will be here from 9 to 12. I'm excited about that. Who doesn't like petting horses? What's that?
Painting.
Oh, and paint them, right? Because the outside of a horse is the good thing for the inside of a man. So horses are great. True story. I mean, it calms the soul. Horses are amazing. All right? So yeah. Okay. You're good? I have lots of weird sayings, so. And then we got the bounce course and water games and stuff in the afternoon. Always fun there. And then Saturday is our half day. We're here, same time, same place. And Breakfast Club skit, talent show. So as you go through the week, be asking, hey, what do you want to do for the talent show? And kind of be priming and ready. And you know what's great about the talent show? Every kid's really talented, and we get to have a lot of fun, and they get to do a good job no matter what they're doing. I think last year, I can't remember which camper it was, but his talent was he could shake his eyeballs. And then that was great, because he just came up on stage and he just looked at my eyes and shook his eyes. I'm like, all right, woo, cool, right? Really awesome. So talent show and graduation, which is always neat. And then we had that family lunch, which was a great time to get to know the extended community and try to reach out and be involved in our campers' lives more than just seeing them this week. And ready to be a contact point to be able to reach and build hope within that family unit as well. And then 1 to 1:30, the kids depart, and we do high fives and say, great job this week, praise the Lord, right? What else do we need for schedule? Yes, Miss Kitty?
Well, on the first day, how will the kids know to bring swimming clothes?
I do the day before I do a text message reminder, and then each day they will receive a reminder of anything that they're supposed to bring. Yep.
And then we have a wonderful lady that runs the closet, and we can go shopping there if need be. So, yeah. Just so you know, Kitty runs the closet, and she keeps everything stocked up. Any other thoughts or questions about our schedule? All right, so that's kind of the rundown. And the schedule is not a secret thing. If the kid wants to know what we're going to do next, let the kid know what we're going to do next. That helps them, feel more confident that okay, I know where we're going, I'm getting looked out for, we're good to go. So it's not a secret. All right, well, if there's no other questions, I'm the master of scheduling, so just kidding, I didn't make any of this up.
With the schedule, just a couple things. Our stations that we are going to have, we've talked about a few of them. We will have a sensory station. Of course, we'll have the water games, so you guys might want to come prepared to get wet as well, because that will happen whether you like it or not. You turn your back and a water balloon's going to be coming at you or something. So we will have woodworking, which I think we're doing lanterns this year. We will have the inside crafts, and we'll do different ages for the littler ones, the bigger ones. Outside crafts, we're going to do something different each day.
Yeah,
right?
so the first day I think we're doing rock painting. The second day we're doing minute games. And then the third day they're going to make their own fidget spinners that they can take home. Or those bottles with the rice and they find the little different I spy things. So.
We will have the STEM room again. We do have some little boys that will stay in that room the whole time. We'll have our robots, and then we'll be doing kites as well. So, and we will also have miniature golf, which we will talk about a little bit more here shortly. Yes?
What's the theme this year?
The theme is Be the Light.
It's the Royal Court will be doing Esther and Daniel.
So it is actually, those of you who have been with us for every single year of camp, it is the first year that we had camp theme and stuff, which is the best one if you ask me, Hayden. Okay. Any questions about schedule, how it works, what it's going to look like? It's pretty cut and dry. We try to stay on schedule as much as we can. Okay. So next, what does the week of camp look like? We kind of already went over roles this morning. I just want to make sure that we are following those, how we're going to keep that. The Dean of Men and Dean of Women are who need to be going to for their first line of things that need for big campers, little campers, those kind of things, and then they can come to us to find them so we don't have 10 different people looking for stuff. Expectations of you guys, come to have fun. Be prepared to get worn out and just to have fun and love on these kids. Dance and sing and be silly. So, what to bring? Jesse, you're supposed to be up here with me, just saying. You know what to bring?
A good attitude, positive mental attitude. And then, the clothing, be mindful of your clothing. And if you do get wet, make sure that your shirt is not see-through. So, was there other things I was supposed to? Water bottles, no cell phones, bring a watch. And I think that's it.
You can wear open-toed shoes. It's getting to the end of the day, except for when you're working with the horses on Friday. If you're over with the horses, you need to have closed-toed shoes on, and your little campers will need to as well, and we can work on that as well for them.
Oh yeah, I was just gonna say we've got the shoes, and don't make that a battle. And then the other part is we've had the kids use their shoes in the water, and then they're wet, and then we lose them, or we don't have them and they're wet and they don't want to wear them anymore. So I understand you got some water shoes. We do have some water shoes. So if kids don't come with water shoes, stick them in some water shoes, preserve their everyday shoes, because they might be their only everyday shoes. Is there more I'm supposed to say?
Also, we will give each of you big campers a string bag so that you don't have to bring your own. You can put your water bottle and all your things. And then each little camper also and their own water bottle. So
How many campers do we have this year?
33, 32. 33 or 34, and we're the most balanced we've ever been with young men and young women, still more boys. And then I would say a larger number of new campers that we haven't seen before. It's probably closer to 60-40, so 60% returning, 40% new campers, which does pose a different set of challenges as far as knowing the routine. You'll have some new campers coming in that are like, I have no idea what this is, and previous campers, they're like, come on, right? So just keep that in mind that we don't have this last year was overwhelmingly returning campers, and so that makes the week a little bit, their expectations already set, so.
Jesse, have you figured out the transportation logistics?
Some of it, yes.
Some of it, yes.
We got ideas that it's gonna work, so.
We can talk about that for just a second. So a couple of things as far as safety goes and during the day, and this is a role kind of thing. So you as a big camper are not walking kids to their vehicle. If they say, hey, that's my mom, and I'm just gonna go with them, that's a no, I'll kill you, okay? Yep, I said it. So we have a check-in policy. I do not release children to vehicles. I release children to people. And that's just to keep us safe. And so if you've got folks, and just be proactive, and we haven't really talked about this, but there shouldn't be anybody coming on grounds that doesn't belong to RFKs. We wear our name tags for that reason, and we do intervene with people we don't recognize. And so if we have somebody coming in, I mentioned last night that we have a guardian ad litem that's planning to come and stop in. We'll give you a heads up and briefing that person will be here, and they will have a guest tag or whatever, so that should happen. But if somebody else comes on ground, we're stepping in immediately. Hey, can I help you? Part of that's confidentiality, part of that is keeping the kids safe. They don't know who those people are, we don't know who they are. And then the other part of that is I have the list of people that kids can go with when they leave, so please don't release them. If you come in and tell me that you let them climb in a car, oh Lord. So we invite people, especially if they are in the parking lot and they're like, hey, come on, you're like, can you come inside real quick? And we'll get them checked out and find Jesse or April. We're not releasing, I'm watching every kid that gets in a vehicle. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. That's all part of that role thing. Just let me do that, please.
So how many total will be here? Adults and kids? Roughly? 90?
Yeah. Yeah. Something like that, yeah.
Is Miles driving the bus in the mornings to pick up kids? Or
No,
somebody
will.
So I'll provide the breakfast.
Mm-hmm.
I'll have that all the night before. Will they will they be able to get into the church first?
Yeah.
So they could add ice to it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
What she's talking about is we found that our bus kids were a little bit more hungry and felt like they were delayed getting their meal in the morning. And so the kids that are coming in from further away, we do have a number of Bighorn County kids based in, they are going to have their meal on the bus as they're coming in. And then they also are being sent with a sack lunch back out, just because they're sometimes getting home at 6:37 rather than some of our Powell kids who go home at 5:30. So we're going to make sure that there's no food meltdown on the bus rides, is what she's mentioning.
With that, we just need to cover a few rules for camp. Right? Yeah, that doesn't matter. I'll just read it off here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's fine. So, of course, we have to have rules. There's rules everywhere, right? So, some of them that we have to have, and they're very important, very clear. The first one is the 2 deep rule. There must always be 2 trained adults. You guys are all trained that are in here, except for some of your team that can't be part of that. But providing direct supervision over campers for the time that the guardian drops the child off at the registration to the time that they are picked up. So even when we take them and deliver them in Grable Basin, there will be 2 trained adults with those kiddos. That's a protection for them and for us. And that's a no exception rule. That has to be there. We have private spaces at camp. When we're in a camp facility, it's their bed, it's their space. Here, they'll have their little squares. That's their space, only they can be in it, no big campers, no little campers, no anybody, because we want them to feel safe and that their stuff is safe and that they have a place that they can go to. Personal touch, kind of talked about that a little bit. No sitting on laps, no piggyback rides, side hugs. It's just very important. Our kids do like touch, but you have to ask them and make sure that they're okay with it and it's appropriate before we do that. We're not taking any pictures besides Addie. She will take the pictures. She knows all the rules that we have to have with kids for their picture books. There is no exchanging personal information with our campers or between little campers as well. If you see them out in the community later, that's perfectly fine, but at camp, you are not going to give them your phone number, your email, your address. You are not going to ask them to be your friend or accept their friend request on social media.
And between the kids.
Right, I did say that. Some of our kids will have medications. We will have a nurse on staff that will be taking care of those medications. She will also have things like Benadryl and Advil and Band-Aids and that kind of stuff if you as a big camper need some of that or a little camper. But they will be closely looking at their papers to make sure that that is okay for us to give to those campers when they're here. So, next one, name tags have to be worn at all times by little campers, big campers, and support staff. Well, our little campers like to lose their name tags a lot, and we will have extra if that happens. But we want the name tags on, especially when we go to Montauk Park in Cody or down to Camp Wannabe. Cody, Montauk Park's a little bit more because there will be other people at the park there. Okay, so we have 7 guidelines. Be on time. We start at 7:30, you need to be here at 7:30. As my husband would say, if you're not here by 7:15, then you're late. So if you can get here early, get here early. We're gonna keep our spaces clean, we'll have baskets and stuff in the kids' spaces so that they can keep those clean a little bit. This is a little easier here than in a camp facility. We're not giving the kids sugar or anything that contains a lot of sugar. So consistency, we're going to use common sense, no cell phones, of course, and then I'm not giving out the physical address here, but the campers know it is, and it's kind of easy to see. So the next thing we need to talk about is the 7 religious rules that we're not going to do at camp. We are not having water baptism, no communion. We will probably, as a group, do communion maybe that first morning or the night before for setting up, that kind of stuff when we do devotions, but we will not do that with the campers. We are not doing altar calls. You're not laying hands on in prayer. If we pray with the kids, we are going to ask them if we can do that first. We're not casting out demons, not speaking in tongues, and we're not anointing in oil, which all seems like common sense that we're not going to do that, but this is stuff that we need to talk about because we actually let our campers and their guardians and stuff know that these are things that we are not going to do because, as we know, these are not church kids coming to church camp. They are community kids coming to community camp, and most of them have no background whatsoever. Or if they do, they might have a negative background of Christianity as well. So, we know why we follow these rules. We have to be, because our kids are wards of the state. We need to be part of just making sure that they're safe and that we're safe too as a facility. Amy and Jesse and through this camp have built a great relationship with DFS. And there's other ministries that have come alongside with that, and we do not want to ruin that relationship at all, because for us to have at least, even if it's only 3.5 days with these kiddos, it's enough to start bringing that hope into their lives, to showing them love, and just building relationships with them. So there's lots of opportunities to share God's love. Got devotionals. They'll have their little books for 30-30 time. Your counselor relationships one-on-one. The Bible stories, the skits. There's just lots of information to give them and lots of time to share love. So Things that we want to remember we're doing is having teachable moments. We're making every moment matter at camp. The 30-30 time, this works a lot with the activity book, that kind of stuff, because you're really one-on-one with either your camper or your two little campers where you can really engage with them, making moments matter in doing the crafts, even if you're not very crafty, or being involved, getting wet when you don't really like water, those kind of things, doing the things that the kids want you to do. We talked about the polar bear plunge this week and how we used to do that at camp, and there's lots of big campers that don't like to do the polar bear plunge. Who wants to jump in the water at 6 o'clock in the morning? Aiden's the only one raising his hand, nobody else in here. But if your little camper wants to do it and ask you to do it, what are you going to do? You're going to do it, right? You're going to make that moment matter, that something that they wanted mattered right then. So we will be singing songs, we have Bible reading, we're going to review the day each day. You guys will each have a schedule so that they can know what's coming next, because a lot of our kids really will want to know, okay, what's next? Or most of them will really want to know, when's lunch? So when do I get fed again? So we're going to let our focus be on the greatest commandment. Love God with all your heart and love your neighbor as yourself. And as we do this, it will open the door to follow the Great Commission. So with that, any questions, comments, concerns?
I'm looking at the schedule. When are you doing 30-30?
It'll be right after lunch.
Right after lunch?
Yep.
Okay.
If we are giving a child and we're working, can that child come at the 7:30 time?
Yes.
What do they do when we're doing something?
We will have something for them to do.
Who's our nurse this year?
Our nurse is Sarah White, but we will also have Chris Brewer on staff as well, so we will have two. Sarah was the nurse last year. She actually will not be able to be here on Saturday, so we'll have that. Any other questions?
What do I do if I witness some of these rules being broken?
You need to go to the staff who's breaking the rules and kindly talk to them. If it continues to be broken, then especially if it's a male big camper, then they're going to come to you. Or a female big camper, they're going to come to Cherie, or they're going to come to Amy or I, so that we can address the situation right when it's happening. So,
Are you having snacks in the afternoon? Do I need to provide snacks?
yes.
Okay.
Any other? Okay. Oh,
For water games, do we need to wear water clothes under our regular clothes, or will there be a place and time to change?
That's a really good question.
yeah.
I think it's a great idea to maybe bring extra clothes. And we'll just have to be mindful of the kids too. Like last year we had the slip and slide and they got pretty wet if I remember correctly. So it might be good to bring extra clothes and then you can change before you go to that activity. Maybe that's something Jesse will need to put.
Do you have camp shirts again?
Well, yeah, good question. We do have camp shirts, so we'll get those to you. And the first day, everyone wears their camp shirt. And then if you want to wear it every day, that's great. That's probably what I do. But it's just nice for the kids to know who is staff. So, and if you have old camp shirts, other days, those would be appropriate too. Yeah.
And then we're going to wear it on the last day as well, because we want to have those on and be a unified front when our biological or foster families are here for the barbecue as well. Any other questions?
Do you want to talk about
Randy, I think one thing that might be real good to reiterate with everybody is what to do if you hear a report from your child. I don't know that I'm jumping the gun, but just a reminder for everyone how to handle that.
Hi, okay. So mandatory reporting in the state of Wyoming makes everybody who's sitting here a reporter of child abuse or neglect. So those reports need to be given to April Patterson, who is our counselor. If she's not available, I will be glad to take, not glad, but I will take them. Lots of times we may already be aware of what they're telling you. But but I do want to hear that. All of that will get relayed back to their caseworker. It may end up in an incident report to family, biological family, or adoptive parents if they don't have an open case right now. So the big part of that, we covered this last night, I'm just going to repeat it again. You guys are not trained interviewers of children, so please don't interrogate kids, don't interview them, don't let your imagination go wild when they start saying something like, and then dad hit me, and then you're like, how many times? Please don't do that. So if a kid is telling a story, you're welcome to listen to it, or say, hey, can we press pause on this and we can go talk to Miss April about it? And that's a great way to just get them in front of April to do that. And then if you can't get April or I over there, you can listen and do you have more to tell me? Is there anything else that you need to tell me? And then the other part of it, which I forgot to mention last night, is sometimes kids want to commit you to secrecy after they share something, or they'll start with that. I have something I have to tell you about my dad, but I can't tell you unless you promise to keep it a secret. There's no secrets at camp, and so you can dodge that in certain ways, like, is this something that we can go talk to Miss April about? Or I cannot promise to have any secrets with you because your safety is so important to me. And so that's a really great way to answer that. And so it may keep them from making that report at that moment, but we are not promising to keep any secrets. We can promise that while you're here at camp, you can be safe with me. And so those are good ways to kind of break down that barrier. But like I said, don't ask leading questions. Don't drop those ideas into their head of what you think might have happened to them, and that messes up their witness. Also, after the report is made, neither April nor I will tell you what we're doing with that. That's part of Wyoming confidentiality law. I can't tell you if law enforcement is going to the house later today and going to arrest whoever. That is not something, so please don't put me in a position where you want me to release confidential information, because I'm not going to. So that's the mandatory reporting, but please do report everything, even if it seems small and inconsequential, and you go home and you're like, I don't like it. Just come back and tell us. It's not, yeah, we're here. There's a good chance I already know.
If anybody has hamburger that they would like to donate to camp, would you talk to me so we can save some money? Lots of us have last year's hamburger. We're probably going to need a total of 50 pounds.
Is it the percentage?
No, it's all going to be brown. Yeah, tacos and spaghetti.
Any other questions?
Brandy, are we debriefing on Saturday after the game?
Yes.
Okay, so everybody knows to stay.
Okay, yep.
Can I talk about Tuesday?
Brandy, I had a question. I can't remember, but what are some of the roles of the grandma and grandpas? I kind of forgot what was supposed to be.
We call them rescue artists.
Oh.
I'm just kidding.
Oh, I'm just
No, seriously, that's what they come in and do.
So basically the roles of grandma and grandpa are just going to be roaming around, and if they see a kid who needs to have some one-on-one time, to read a book, do a puzzle, any of that kind of stuff, that's your job.
Is that set up outside or is that inside?
Wherever you need to be, we will have a, yep.
Sometimes the deans may see the big camper needs some help, and they'll come say, hey, can you go, so-and-so needs a friend, and just help out where it's needed, and people will be watching to help in those roles.
Mm-hmm. It's just being the support staff, supporting where you need to be supporting.
You know, I had some questions about uncles and aunts, and it's kind of the same thing for them to help with the activities, the activity centers, and watch for the big campers. Just even just during the days, they need a break once in a while.
Yep. Okay, now we're going to talk about Tuesday before camp just a little bit. We will need to transform this church into our camp. We will need to put things together, put the shirts out, that kind of stuff. So we want to know what time we haven't talked about that.
We'll send you an email. But
Yeah,
if you aren't working and have Tuesday available, kind of mark that off. But we'll also have time in the evening that we're going to try to get everybody together. We'll do communion and just a little bit more team building that evening. So just be aware and have that on your calendar, and then Brandy will let you know exactly the times.
Yes. So with that,
Okay.
2 questions. My first one is, are we doing posters this fall?
yes,
Okay.
so we can hang them on the walls by their
Okay, I guess
spaces.
I didn't say that. So we're doing assignments for little campers to big campers in the next week, and then we had told the new big campers last night, but I'll just say it again. You'll get your email with the names and the age and the information that you need, and just being flexible, because sometimes kids don't show, and this year we had, somebody that was like, well, she'll come, but she has to bring her best friend.
My second question, just to clarify, is the language that we're using, I need a friend?
Yes, which is, if you, let's talk about that a little bit. If you are tired, you need a break, you need to go to the bathroom, your kid's melting down and you don't know really what to do with it, you just need to walk away for just a minute, you say to somebody, hey, I need a friend. And anytime you hear I need a friend, that means you need to go there and help them in whatever way they are. If the kid's melting down, then you probably want to find the counselor, or the dean of men or dean of women can find the counselor that way as well for you. So, but yes, I need a friend.
So I know in the past we've used that as a way to get like a second person for 2 deep as well. Can we still do that, or should we isolate it just for when we need a break?
Anytime you need somebody to be with you, I need a friend. So.
And if you hear that, it's all hands on deck.
Yes.
Because you don't know why they need a friend. They just need a friend. So if you're a big camper, you might have to be a friend just for somebody for a second. That's universal, that I need help.
Yep. Any other questions? Oh.
What if you have a runner?
Well, then
Keegan is amazing.
He is getting a little old.
All right, Megan, you're up.
Jason likes to run.
Jace, you like to run. You get to chase our runners.
You hear somebody say I need a runner. There you go.
We've only had one runner.
Yeah.
The great thing is, here at the church with the fence, there is much less need for that, but there could be. And if you know that your kid, after that first day, if you know they're a runner, then you're going to get extra help anytime you go outside of this fence kind of thing.
And you're going to have people that are going to be a fence for you.
Right, exactly. So we'll just pay attention.
You can also just run with them.
Yeah.
I'd say that's an important part of aunts and uncles and
Yes.
grandparents is helping.
And sometimes when you have runners, if you don't chase after them, it's not any fun for them, so they just stop too. So you will know
However, that
that
one time, Keegan, you did have to chase them.
Right at the highway.
Heading for the road.
Yeah, they're heading for the road. We're going to stop it. So, okay.
I just have one last video really quick to show, and then we'll jump into that. The other thing that I want to say is, not to put you on the spot, Eden, but I'm going to show this one. As you know, Eden is a former little camper, and he has brought all of his photo books from all of the years that he was a little camper. And so as we do our next big activity, I just encourage you to look through those. Those of you who have served for many years, it brings back a lot of really fun memories. As I was looking, I was like, oh, I forgot we did that. That's so fun. But also reminds you of why we're doing what we're doing. Like just the smiles on that little, I remember that little Aiden when he came. And just the smiles on his face in those pictures is pretty powerful. So,
What was your biggest memory?
My biggest memory was birthday day.
okay, there is a picture in that book of his first year. It's so funny. So the first year we did giant cakes for every day. I told you that first year was painful, but we did giant cakes for all the kids, and they were decorated beautifully and had their names written on them. And there's this picture of Aiden, who then smashed his face into the cake, and so his name is backwards on his face. It's really funny. when we were like, we don't give the kids sugar. He's like, oh, you did. We learned hardcore. Okay, so I'm just going to show this really short video, and then we'll do our
So we don't do birthdays anymore?
So to explain a little bit about the birthdays, on the mountain, it has a very strong impact because they are with us and they open a gift and they're staying with us. I had my own concerns about doing that here locally, in the sense that we have a kid that's at camp, we have younger siblings who are old enough to go to camp, or we have graduates who no longer are coming to camp, and they're going home that day with a birthday present on not their birthday, and it sends a very weird message if you think about it, like this kid's special and you're no longer special, which was not what we wanted. So we shifted last year to the family gift, is what we did. So on the last day with the barbecue, we sent, I think it was 4 really fun games home, so it became more of a wrap around to the family, and we will be doing that again. That's also why we are doing the pizza on Friday night, is yet another way to pull our families in. So they're going to have almost like a take and bake Papa John's that they're going to make here that they will take home. It will have directions, and it's trying to engage the families while they're home in what's going on with RFK. It also has the reminder for the barbecue the next day so that we can have that. And for folks that are new, last year I loved the barbecue. We had all but one set of caretakers in the building. So out of the 34 kids that we took, all of their caretakers except for one couple was missing. So that is how many people from various communities in this building meeting with people who love Jesus. And so eating I don't want people to be afraid of a church building. That's a huge part of it. Like, walk in here, we're normal, we do laundry, we don't do creepy things, and we eat burgers too. So this is a huge part of that, and so that's super exciting. And so I do think the conversation with us going back to an away camp, we would implement the birthday again, but locally it's kind of weird, if that makes sense.
30 minutes left of training. So you guys are gonna have to think fast and be creative fast, because we are going to be doing a team building exercise, and you guys are going to design the miniature golf course. Design a hole.
Overboard style, Kurt Russell. Come on, guys. Turn the Goldie Hawn on.
So is it gonna be here?
Yes. And we have some things already that can be used, that you can be thinking about to use. We do have some of the artificial grass that can use as the green part of it. The rest of it you have to figure out. Are you going to have some sand traps? Are you going to have some water traps? Are you going to have some cardboard? Yeah. Where you're going to put your hole at? How you have to go around things, not around things. We do have a dinosaur head that opens up that actually could be somewhere where they can get their golf ball into.
We have some tubes.
We have tubes.
Cardboard tubes.
Cardboard tubes. We have pool noodles. We have some hula hoops. We have PVC pipe. So your job now is to design a hole for golf. And then on the Tuesday before camp, we are going to do more team building and putting those together. But when you design your hole, we need to have a list of things that you are going to require for that hole. And if you have some of those things laying around at home, we would gladly take it from you to use them for that.
Are they doing these in groups? How are they breaking?
We are doing them in groups, and I think we can just sit at our tables and go from there.
So I'm going to give each table a paper like this and some markers. Your job is to brainstorm together